So after my last long drive meeting with two of the other boys, I decided I needed to make a new toy. So let me show you it. Guys, how you doing? Welcome back to a brand new video. It's Simon down here at Burford Golf Lab. I made a new toy. I put a shaft in a head. Let me explain why this, for me, is going to be a great playing driver and going to go further than any new driver that will come out in 2020. So as a club fitter myself, I really emphasize numbers being more important than the brand, the technology that might be in it, the grip, the shaft, whatever people might say about a new club. Because today I will show you my new 5-degree X-Stiff 46-inch driver, the numbers that it can produce, the distance that it can produce, the ball speeds it can produce, and why this, which cost me 80 quid for the head, and I've already pulled the shaft, so let's say 50 quid for the head, and then a shaft that was gifted to me, but again only let's say 80-90 pounds, why that combo is better for me and my club head speed more than any standard club that could potentially come out on the market. And again, thank you to Rob Scott, our member, that gifted me this driver shaft. If you want it back, just let me know, I'll pull it out. So before I show you me hitting drives and talking about the numbers that I produce with this driver, let me explain perfect launch numbers. For a driver, forget how old, forget the colour, the ball needs to launch between 12 to 14 degrees. It needs to be spinning 2,000 to 2,500 in terms of backspin, and as high ball speed as you can potentially produce. Ball speed is potentially the only thing technology has helped, as well as forgiveness. Apart from that, they're the three things that basically produce a long drive. If the spin's too high, you lose distance. If the ball speed's too low, you lose distance. If that launch angle is too high or too low, you lose distance. So the ball doesn't know what it's getting hit by. So if you can make a driver, hence this 5-degree that I've made with the X-Stiff shaft in it, produce those perfect numbers for the ball speeds that I'm producing, 185 plus, the ball's gonna go quite far. So after my last long drive practice session, I was very inconsistent, and I can see why long drivers have 3 different drivers in the bag. And this is now my go-to driver, and I was so impressed the numbers that I could produce with it. Now this head in the past used to have a rattle, but doesn't seem to have that anymore. And this shaft is just X-Stiff. However, the interesting thing I found with this is actually, even though this is only X-Stiff, because the head is so low lofted, and this is why I can't get on with any new driver that comes out next year, is because the lowest they will be able to produce is 8.5 degrees. Therefore, there's not a stiff enough shaft there that can basically stop that club pointing to the sky with my swing speed. But the interesting thing with this combination of head and shaft is actually I was still only producing on some shots, especially the ones I middled, 800 to 900, which is very low, which means that it's coming out like a bullet, but it's not staying in the air long enough. So if you want to see a video, let's say if this video gets 400 likes, I'm going to put a Reg Flex shaft with this head on it, and I feel like that will be an unbelievable combination, and the ball will go very far. But I digress. I wanted a smaller driver. Normal competition drivers are 48-inch. That's my competitive driver at the moment. That's my new driver that I spent a lot of money coming on it, hopefully in the post soon, is 48 inches. So that is your game winner. That's when you put 1 or 2 down the grid and you need to basically go for the 400-yard mark. This is my gamer, my safe shot. I could take this out on the golf course. I potentially might take this out on the golf course. Whereas if I hit this on good numbers, and I only teed this ball quite low because I didn't have my tee claw with me, this can actually produce a nice consistent few drives. Even at the 180 like ball speed, I still was able to get enough launch and enough distance. I was getting 340 to 350 considerably, or consistently I should say, over and over and again. And if I was at a long drive event, 350, 360 doesn't win it, but it puts the pressure on. So if I was able to put a 340 or 350 in my first 2 balls, all of a sudden the other guys at least got to get it in the grid 350, which what I found in my last practice session is easier said than done. I could do it for days in here by myself with my music on, but can I do it when I'm under pressure? So I wanted something smaller, less stiff, and something that I was a bit more confident with, something that I've been used to playing my whole life, i.e. 45 inches. Yes, this is a tiny bit longer, but the Honma that I gamed when I was at the Grove was exactly the same at 46 inches, and I was able to hit some rather nice drives, 350 plus, with this. So what does this mean for you guys? Basically, if you can find a second-hand club, and on the off chance it's the perfect shaft and the perfect head, then the ball's going to go far. The reason today I can fit and gain you 30-40 yards is because I now have a monitor. Everyone has a monitor. Therefore, if you buy a driver without a monitor, you're an idiot. Because you might buy the technology, you might buy the colour, you might buy the shaft, but if the spin's too high, or the launch is too low, or your dispersion is too wide, you spent £450 on a driver that is obsolete. Now, I'm lucky in the sense that I have quite a few shafts. Also, I can repair, I can put any shaft into any head thereabouts, so I can play about with it. So again, I have that added advantage. But if, for example, you at the moment hit the ball way too high, find a driver, any manufacturer, that has a very low lofted head. I haven't been able to find a standard length driver in my life that I have been able to keep under 2,000 because I swing it quite fast. And I'm not saying that everyone is swinging that fast, because obviously I'm going for maximum distance and you guys obviously want to hit a fairway. However, it has opened my eyes into the possibility now that every driver that comes out year after year wants to have a low spinning head to get more distance and get out there further. Whereas realistically, all I've done is drop down to 5 degrees, and I've done just that with quite old technology. Then we go into ball speeds. Now, obviously, this is the off season. I'm very much into it. I'm into the gym, nutrition. I'm not teaching as much. Therefore, I've got more time to spend into this, and I was very happy with the ball speeds I was able to produce with this, because I started hitting my PBs or close to my PBs again. The only disadvantage I found was that when I was getting to the 190 plus ball speeds, which I was really happy about, the spin rate was too low, the launch was too low, so that could potentially be down to my swing. Obviously I wasn't teeing the ball up high enough, which again doesn't help. However, because this 5 degree head is obviously very low lofted, that is why I'm thinking if I put a reg flex shaft in this, or maybe a soft stiff, I could get through the golf ball, I could hit the golf ball cleanly out in the middle to keep that ball speed, and my launch and spin numbers are going to be higher because that golf club's basically going to be pointing to the sky a lot more. Now, you can always help things with your swing, but as I said at the start, I could build a club to suit my swing. This at the moment I'm going to keep, unless you guys obviously want to see a reg flex shaft in this, but it means that hopefully when I get to 195 plus ball speed, this is going to bend enough, which means that this is going to point to the sky enough. All the drivers I've tested, long drive drivers that is, my crank for example, I'm miles off triple X. Like, I'll be very surprised if I need a triple X stiff shaft next year, because that thing's posting at like 500, 600, and I'm basically meeting my swing to match the driver. Whereas this is very close. I gain another 5 miles an hour clubhead speed, which I don't think I'm far off, let's be honest, and I get to 200 miles an hour ball speed, which is only 10 miles an hour and more. This should then get into that perfect range of 1500 backspin, launch at 12, and then ball speed obviously up there, which is going to gain me the 400 yards. It then means I know what I need in my long driver, like my 48 inch, because going into this, I'm very much like you guys. When I started the game, I didn't know about shafts, I didn't know about heads, I didn't know about torque. I know about that, I'm a club fitter, but for your standard golfer, very new to the long drive game. But since I basically messed about with this, putting this shaft into this head, I've now got the knowledge, and that's kind of why I emphasize people buying second-hand clubs, because they can try a £50 driver with a stiff, or they can try a £60 driver with a soft reg and 12 degrees launch, because at least then you get an idea of what works for you, what works for your swing. And then if you want to go into the realms of the expensive driver, the £400 mark, let's say, then go to a club fitter. But at least it's not guesswork, and at least you know now what suits your game and your swing. So I'm going to be taking this down to the range tonight, giving it a full hit, starting the off season properly. I need to be hitting at least 100 balls a day, as well as gym, and eating 15 chickens. Guys, thank you ever so much for watching. As always, if you like this video, leave it a like. Please subscribe if you're new. See you later.